tips in the pandemic, part 3.
Get real. Let's go. It's about to get real. Let's go. It's about to get real. It's about to...
I'm so glad that you enjoyed part 1 and 2, so the Lord gave me part 3. And when I talk about practical tips, I'm not saying that I need a perm. Look at these edges, look at this hair. No, that's not what's going on in just that in a pandemic. I see people online trying to do their own fingernails, hair. We can make it through with that. But our biggest part of our practical tips is keeping our mind, keeping our emotions, keeping our psyche, and yes, keeping our hair, nails, and everything else done. We can get that straight. But the Lord has impressed upon my heart to help us to navigate through this season with a good mindset and a balanced psyche. So here's part 3 of my practical tips in a pandemic. Number 1, in a pandemic, we must make sure we still have boundaries. Lord Jesus, if I get a request for another random Zoom, another random meeting, it is just too much. What happened when this pandemic came about was we all had to go home, yet we still had to work, some of us. You know, you got kids, some of us, we are in relationships, everybody's at home. And so typically our lives are in separate pots. Our work is over here, our gigs, our jobs over there, relationships over there. But when we came home, it was like everything just kind of collided at once. And so the person that you are has to manage and navigate everything at once. And so one day, all of my worlds simply came together, and I was like, whoa. And then all these other meetings and everything, even with my kids, they had all these meetings and Zooms at the same time, and I had to manage them. The same thing applies when we were in person with people online. Same thing applies at home. You have to have boundaries. Turn your phone off. Turn your notifications off. Do things, say, this time I'm not going to have screen time. This time I'm not going to work on this project. Because what's happening is things have this never-ending feel to them, which you can never shut things off 100%. And so we have to establish boundaries. You have to have dedicated time to focus on things. If not, it will be this ongoing, never-ending sentence with everything, without a period, without a comma, and that could become overwhelming to people. So even in this pandemic, make sure you say you have office hours, you have relationship time, you block off chunks of time. You have to establish boundaries so everything can try to have some semblance of balance in your life. Because if not, it will attempt to overtake you and overwhelm you. So that's my practical tip number 1. Have some sort of boundary frame. Number 2, be honest. Be honest with how you feel. Be honest if something is too much. You can communicate with it, or you can communicate with the person, or you can simply be honest with yourself. If you feel that that level of honesty will not be received by the other person, organization, individual, what have you, at least be honest with yourself about how you feel in that moment. So many times we try to brush our emotions and our feelings to the side, but when we're in a pandemic, we already have an added layer of anxiety or angst. Even if you say, oh, all is well, it's the unknown that brings some angst. And yes, you can say, well, God has it all in control. Yes, he does, but you don't know what it is. So it brings an extra layer of angst. And so you have to be honest, even if it's just talking to yourself, writing things down, or just acknowledging how you feel about something. Don't just toss it to the side. At least be honest with yourself. At least be truthful to yourself. While you may fake the funk with everyone else and be like, all is well. On the inside, be honest with you, identify with those emotions, because if not, those emotions will come out at an inopportune time. So number 1, boundaries. Number 2, be honest. And number 3, be sensitive. What do I mean by that? Be sensitive that we're all in the same boat. So other people are going to have their varying emotions. Other people will have needs. I will say this, I don't even want my daughter to see this, because she's going to be like, Mommy, you're talking about me, talking about my business. She's going to say all that kind of stuff. But I've noticed that during this time, she's a little bit more clingy. She wants to constantly spend more time. And so at first I'm like, honey, I need that boundary. I need some emotional space. I'm just trying to Because people can say things, but you have to hear behind that, and that's hearing with our hearts. They may be fussing, they may be complaining, but what they're really saying is, hey, I need attention. And so we have to be sensitive to that. So those are my practical tips. Once again, number 1, say it with me, boundaries. Number 2, be honest. Number 3, what is it? Be sensitive. And then you want to make sure we have some semblance of balance. God bless you. Be sure to share these tips